Hey everyone, I'm Kel, and today we have a new Flesh and Blood deck tech video. Before we get started, if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing and ringing that notification bell. Maybe even consider leaving a like button. It all really helps out, and I appreciate it. We talk about a lot of card games here, but today we are talking about Flesh and Blood, and in particular, Azalea, Ace in the Hole. This is one of my favorite Flesh and Blood decks, especially from the Arcane Rising set. Azalea is very near and dear to me. Partially because she was my very first spoiler card ever, but also because she is rad as hell. So let's get started and talk about this deck. This deck as a whole likes to go both wide and long, and we'll talk about exactly what that means as we get started. But let's first talk about our hero, Azalea, Ace in the Hole. For starting hand size, the typical 40 life total. And she says, once per turn action, 0, put a card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck. If you do, put the top card of your deck face up into your arsenal. If it's an arrow card, it gains Dominate until end of turn. Go again. That's awesome. That is a once per turn action that costs nothing. You should be doing that almost every single turn, and there's a lot of cards here that help facilitate that and make sure we get the right stuff. Azalea is a pretty cool and interesting and pretty mechanically focused hero, I would say. Much more complicated than something like Dash. Her weapon is the Death Dealer. It says once per turn action for a single resource. If you have no cards in your arsenal, you may put an arrow card from your hand face up into your arsenal. If you do, draw a card, go again. Really sweet. So for a single resource, you get to put an arrow card into your arsenal so you are able to fire it off. Then you get to draw a card to replace the card that you just played, and then you get to go again. Very good. Synergizes very well with Azalea as a whole. Next up, we have her equipment spread. I should note now that this is not a budget build. I am running a lot of expensive Majestics and Legendaries. Starting off with the Legendary Ranger equipment, the Skullbone Cross Wrap. This card is amazing. Once per turn action, turn a face down card in your arsenal face up, opt one, go again. So it has to be face down. Keep in mind that a lot of these abilities that we've seen already put the cards in the arsenal face up. So we definitely have to have a face down one to get that opt effect, but it's still quite good. It's just a once per turn action, opt one, so you can actually help set up Azalea's ability quite well with that. It also has Arcane Barrier 1 and also has Blade Break. So if you really need to, use it to defend, you can do that. Also, it provides an Arcane Barrier 1, which is excellent, and that opt every turn if you can get it is quite good. This is a very good legendary. Next up, we're running one of the best cards in the entire game, hands down, Fyendal's Spring Tunic. It says at the start of your turn, if Fyendal's Spring Tunic has less than 3 energy counters, you may put an energy counter on it. Instant, remove 3 energy counters from Fyendal's Spring Tunic, gain a resource. It also has Blade Break. So, if you need to defend with it, you can, but you really want to just build up resources and get the free resources. In this deck in particular, it is very good. Most of our cards only cost 0 or 1 resources to play. And so just getting that 1 extra resource is really a big deal. Fyendal's Spring Tunic is fantastic in the deck. Next up, we have Bullseye Bracers. This is the other Ranger equipment. It says, action, destroy Bullseye Bracers. If you have no cards in your arsenal, you may put an arrow card from your hand face up into your arsenal. It gains +1 damage until end of turn. Go again. It also has Arcane Barrier 1, which is really good. Just another really good way to get arrows into our arsenal. We're running a lot of arrows. And then finally, we have these Snapdragon Scalers. Pretty simple card. Attack, reaction, destroy Snapdragon Scalers. Target attack action card with cost 1 or less gains go again. Fantastic. Like I said before, most of the cards in our deck cost 1 or less, and being able to go again is just obviously great. All right, so let's start talking about the rest of the deck. I'm going to sort this into attack actions and non-attack actions. As you can see, they're almost equal here. First up, we have Red in the Ledger. This card is amazing. It is a Ranger action arrow attack. This is an Azalea specialization. It says if Red in the Ledger hits a hero, they can't play or activate more than 1 action during their next turn. Wow, that is a big deal. It only has a single pitch value, only costs 1 to play, has a 3 defense, but it hits for 5. This card is really good. We are obviously running the full playset of them in here. Very good card to pump up because we really want to hit with it and really hamstring our opponent. Next up is Endless Arrow. This is a Ranger action arrow attack, 4 damage, 3 defense, costs 0 to play, and has a single resource. And I should note at this time that all arrows have to be played from arsenal. So just keep that in mind. All this stuff really synergizes. You want to put your arrows into your arsenal because they have to be played from arsenal. And I also want to note that every single attack in this deck has an attack of 4 or more because you really, really want to beat that 3 defense value. You want to have to force your opponent to commit at least 2 cards per attack. We are running a full playset of Endless Arrow. It says when it hits, put it into your hand, so you can kind of just keep getting it back and playing it over and over again. We have another card in the deck that gives all of our arrows go again, so you can kind of facilitate a lot of like wombo combo things here where you put it into your arsenal, shoot it off, gets go again, put it into your arsenal, shoot it off, gets go again, and just keep doing that as much as you can to deal a lot of damage. I really like Endless Arrow. It's not really super needed in the deck. I know some versions aren't running it, but I like it a lot. Next up, we have Sick'em Shot. Pretty simple card. This is a ranger attack action. It is an arrow, has go again, 4 damage, 3 defense, cost of 1. We are running 3 of the red pitch value. We're running red pitch value for almost everything in this deck because we want to do as much damage as we can. We don't really care about the resource generation. Next up, we have Ridge Rider Shot. This is the red pitch version. Cost of 0, 4 damage, 3 defense. It's an arrow. It says if Ridge Rider Shot is put into your arsenal face up, opt 1. So if you put it face up using our Azalea ability or our bow or any of these things, we get to opt, which is great. Opting is fantastic, and we are running a full playset of the red version. Next up is Headshot. This card is absolutely brutal. It is a 1 cost, 4 damage ranger action arrow attack. It says if Headshot is put into your arsenal face up, it gains +2 attack until end of turn. Once again, really synergizes with everything we got going on here. We are running a full playset of the red version of Headshot. Next up is the equally brutal Hamstring Shot. This is a 5 attack, 1 cost arrow attack action. It says if Hamstring Shot hits a hero, their first attack during their next turn costs an additional 1 resource to play. Really good. Just kind of tax them a little bit. We are running a full playset of the red pitch value of this. Once again, man, that 5 attack is quite good. Next up, we have some non-arrow attack actions with Ravenous Rabble, 0 cost, 5 damage. Reveal the top card of your deck. Ravenous Rabble gets -X attack, where X is the pitch value of the card revealed this way. Go again. So basically, it's a pretty high damage go again attack, but it has this situational ability where it gets lowered in damage. Fortunately for us, as you can see, almost every single card in the deck has a single pitch value, so this is usually going to be an attack of 4. Speaking of attack of 4, we have Snatch. This card's pretty interesting. It costs 0, has an attack of 4. It says if Snatch hits, draw a card. Great. That's just absolutely great. If we can give this go again, we can kind of keep the pain train rolling. And we're running a full playset of the Snatch. We have some ways to give this go again as well. So I like Snatch a lot in this deck. Not enough to run the yellow and blue versions, but enough to run the red. And then finally we have Enlightened Strike. I am running a single Enlightened Strike because I only have a single Enlightened Strike. This card's pretty expensive right now, but if you had 3, you should definitely run them because this card is amazing. Cost 0, has a damage of 4. It says as an additional cost to play Enlightened Strike, put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck, choose 1, draw a card, give it +2 attack, or it gains go again. So yeah, this card is amazing. So it can have an attack of 7. You can do the draw card part, which is also great, or you can just give it go again. Yeah, Enlightened Strike, very versatile. Very, very good. There's a reason it is so expensive. And now we're going to talk about the rest of the deck. It is pretty simple. Most of these cards will buff our attack cards, so we want to make them as strong as possible. Deal 1 really, really heavy attack, 1 shot, 1 kill, but we have some other stuff here, like 3 of a kind. I love this card. This card is very interesting, very cool. Costs 1 to play, says draw 3 cards. Okay, 1 to play, draw 3 cards, I'm in. But it says until end of turn, you may only play cards from arsenal, go again. That's not that big of a deal, though. We have a lot of ways to put cards into our arsenal, so we can, draw, refill our hand, and then play a bunch of cards from our arsenal using abilities from Azalea and Death Dealer. I like this card a lot. I don't know if it's needed in this deck, but I like it a lot, so I am putting it in my version. Next up, we have Rapid Fire. This is the card I was talking about earlier that gives our arrows go again. Pretty simple. Costs 0. Says until end of turn, arrows you control gain go again. Reload, then go again. Pretty sweet. So any card that has reload means you get to put a card from your hand into your arsenal face down. So you get to play this, you get to stock up on an arrow, and then you get to go again to maybe fire off that arrow. Maybe that arrow has go again, and then you can do some more shenanigans. Maybe even, draw some cards, put more arrows down. You can kind of see here how you can do like a very strong wombo combo thing. You know, get that endless arrow that comes back to your hand. Just lots of really cool combo potential here. And if you don't need to, you can always just pitch it for some defense. But I think this is really cool, and you can do some really big plays with this card. Next up, we have my personal favorite, Knock the Death Whistle. This was my spoiler card for Arcane Rising, and man, I got a really good one. Knock the Death Whistle is an Azalea specialization, costs 0 to play, which is fantastic. It says, search your deck for an arrow card, reveal it, then shuffle your deck, put it on top of your deck. Then it has reload, so which means you can put a card from your hand into your arsenal. Then it has go again. This card is amazing. It really helps facilitate, once again, all the stuff we talked about at the start of the video. Definitely go search your deck for a red in the ledger, slap that boy on top, use your Azalea special ability to put that directly into your arsenal and then fire it off. Lots of cool stuff here. Like I said, this deck is a lot more technically challenging than other decks like, you know, even Viserai or Dash, but once you get the hang of it, it is a ton of fun. So those were our support cards, I would say. Every single other card in this deck, and it's a good chunk here, every single other card is gonna buff up our attacks. We're gonna start off with Art of War. This is a generic instant, which means it does not take up an action. It says choose 2. Also has a cost of 1. It says attack action cards you control gain +1 attack and +1 defense this turn. The next attack action card you play this turn gains go again. Until end of turn, you may defend with attack action cards from arsenal. You may banish an attack action card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. So you can either refill your hand, you can pump up all your attacks, you can give the next one go again. Just a really, really fantastic card. Well, like I said, giving Snatch go again and pumping it up is really sweet, so you can, you know, draw some more cards off of that. There's a lot of sweet potential with Art of War. I'm running 2 of them because I only have 2 of them. If you have 3, definitely run 3. Next up is Razor Reflex. Pretty simple card, costs 1, has a defense value of 2. It just says choose 1. Target sword or dagger weapon attack gains +3. We don't care, we're not running those. But it says target attack action card with costs 1 or less gains +3, and if it hits, go again. We got a lot of those. Like I said, every single card in the deck costs 1 or less to play. So this card is going to pump us up, and it's going to give our attack go again. Once again, fantastic on Snatch and on any of our other arrows. Love this card a lot. We are running 3 of the red pitch value. Next up is Nimblism, a 0 cost card. It just says the next attack action with cost 1 or less you play this turn gains +3. Go again. Amazing, just fantastic. So just give any one of our next cards +3 attack at 0 cost, get a go again, and it also has defense if we need to do it. And we are running 3 of the red pitch value for Nimblism. And the last 2 cards here are where we break the trend. We are running Take Aim. So this card is a red pitch value card, costs 0. It says the next ranger attack action card you play this turn gains +3, reload, go again. Being able to reload is fantastic in this deck, and just pumping up the next ranger attack action. Keep in mind, not all of our attacks are ranger attacks, so you know, our Enlighten Strike and Snatch and all that kind of stuff, they're not ranger attacks. You got to be careful with this, but it's fantastic. We are running the red pitch as well as the yellow pitch, which is the exact same thing, just pitches for more and has a damage of 2, and the blue pitch, which only does a damage of 1 and pitches for 3. If there's any card in this deck to cut for more Art of Wars and Enlighten Strikes, I think this blue pitch Take Aim might be one of them, but I still really like it. And the very last card, but certainly not the least, we run in our Azalea deck is Plunder Run. This card is sweet. So this is a 0 cost card. It says the next time an attack action card you control hits this turn, draw a card. If Plunder Run is played from Arsenal, the next attack action card you play this turn gains +3, go again. So fantastic. Being able to draw more cards is always good, and we're playing a lot of stuff from Arsenal, so it synergizes really well with everything we're doing. Everything that has reload that puts things into our arsenal, our abilities that put things into our arsenal. Just fantastic card for Azalea. We are running the red pitch version as well as the yellow pitch version and the blue pitch version. The only difference between these is red pitch does 3 bonus damage, yellow is 2 bonus damage, and as you guessed it, the blue pitch is a measly 1 bonus damage. But who cares when you're drawing cards and just pumping up stuff? Fantastic card for the deck. And that was my Azalea Ace in the Hole deck. Please let me know what you thought of the deck in the comments down below. This is my favorite deck to play, even though I'm missing some cards. You know, I don't have my full Art of War playset or my Enlightened Strike playset. I still think this deck is a ton of fun to play. This one was my final Arcane Rising deck, so I do have one for every single hero currently on the channel. I plan to do this for every future Flesh and Blood set as well, so keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. If you find my content worthy and you'd like to support me further, please consider checking out my Patreon. I think it's pretty cool. I have some tiers there where I give cards back to you and some booster packs and a lot of stuff. So just, consider checking it out. Link in the description down below. Honestly, I cannot wait until the next Flesh and Blood set, Crucible of War. I'm really stoked to see some of the cards, get my hands on the cards, and do some more deck building. Maybe tweaking existing decks or making entirely brand new decks. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, I digress. If you liked the video, then once again, like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all that stuff. I appreciate it. But regardless of what you do, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time for some more card game content. Have a good one, all. I'll see you later.